What's going on, folks? Hope all is blessed, and you're enjoying the midweek, you know, wherever you are. It's almost the end of the week. Um, so, William Shatner took off in space. That was pretty incredible. The journey is becoming very much democratized to space. Speaking of space, you know what? This market is inching up. It's about 2.4 trillion in market cap. I remember being in this market at probably around 66 billion, and now we're sitting at 2.4 trillion. So that's huge. And guess what? We're still very early. Um, there's a lot of things that's happening right now. I'll go into more details on that at some point. But right now, I'm just taking it easy. There's nothing to panic about. The market is doing what the market does, and it's making progress, right? So there might be some choppy waters ahead, in the sense that over the next week or two, we could have a little bit of a cool down. What could start happening though is the alts might actually start warming up, right? So um, I I was expecting that this week, which actually did happen. But again, this is the up and down, right? Remember, this is a market that goes, it's not stagnant, so it fluctuates. It's a very liquid market. So what that means is if you need 100 grand, boom, you can pull it out tomorrow. You need 100 million, you can definitely pull that out tonight, right? So it's such a beautiful market. We're living in a modern day world, right? You can't do that with stocks, right? You gotta wait till 9 a.m., cash out at the bank. You gotta wait 5 days or something like that. Like, put a hold on your. We're not in those ancient times anymore, right? We've been moving at the speed of light for the last 5 years or so. And what's beautiful to see is that the Bank of America is also uh, deploying some members into a new team so that they can actually form a research group pertaining to blockchain, pertaining to this crypto market. It's crazy. Um, love this song. Anyways, life is about enjoying, looking for the little opportunities in between. Shiba has come on the map again. That's something that I had heavily invested in 6 months ago. But when the market started crashing, if you're invested in anything like that, you'll be sure to see it drop like, you know, like an iron ball out of the sky, right? That's how fast these kind of coins can drop. So I pulled it out, I pulled my money out, and I put it into something more efficient, like the blue chain stocks, the blue crypto stocks, Bitcoin Cash or something like that, right? Or Bitcoin itself. And then the lesson for me in that was, hey, I shouldn't be greedy. Because guess what? In this market, when you see people becoming millionaires overnight, or you hear some stories, you see 12-year-olds making NFTs and they're becoming, millionaires. You're like, what? I've been working 9 to 5 all my life. Yeah, I've been doing that too. I'm still grinding away. Don't get me wrong. But it's just a new thing. So the way to approach it is to, spend what you can afford to lose. If that's $100, great. If that's $500, great. But be aware that this market could, if Bitcoin drops at any day, as I said, it's liquid, right? If it even wants to touch $150,000, that might feel like heaven, but for how long, right? It could go from 150 right down to 30. It can sit where it's at right now at around probably 55,000 euros. I'm not even sure. It can do that, and then just we can have like a black swan event, and it all of a sudden crashes to 25K or less. I don't know. These things happen, and when that happens to Bitcoin, and it does, the blue moon, it happens fast, and then the recovery is a little bit slower. Like, it takes months to get that confidence level back, right? So how to capitalize on that is to, if you want to get into this market, dollar cost average. Don't rush yourself. Don't feel like you're missing out or FOMO in and be like, oh, I gotta do this right now because Bitcoin's going up and it's never gonna come back. No, it's a market. You know what I mean? I learned this the hard way, so I'm just trying to express that. I hope y'all find that useful. But Kuma is one of those coins, and I actually posted about it in my Cyberchain Tech Instagram. So I posted something about Shiba. If you had invested like $1,000 in Shiba back in August 2020, something like that, it could have been like worth millions right now. Yeah. So who knew Shiba would have gone? But I remember reading that white paper about 6 months ago. And I shared that white paper with a few colleagues of mine, and I found it to be a very interesting project. I thought that, yes, this could take away some market share from Dogecoin. And it actually did, indeed, right? It became something like, again, the people's liberation. And this is what the whole market's about. The people's liberation, right? So the NFTs, Paris Hilton is making comments about NFTs, and she actually knows what she's talking about, right? She's non-fungible token, artists, it's selling digitalized form of a product that's going to be stored on the blockchain, right? So those NFTs, as long as they're stored on the blockchain, that's great. As long as that blockchain exists and continue to exist, then you're great, you're golden. But I'm just going to give you an example. Let's say if you buy an NFT on a blockchain, great, it's a blockchain, oh, awesome, good. And all of a sudden, you know what I mean? Project come around a year later, year and a half later, I don't know. And somebody decides to get rid of that blockchain. Remember, a blockchain is still computers, right? You know, if you have 10 computers running something, you decide to shut them down. Well, then there goes your blockchain. So not a lot of people thought about that. But anyways, you have to buy NFTs from reputable places, and you can do your research on that. It's something to consider. But anyways, Kuma, this coin, I believe that's the name. You might have to just double check. This is a new, sort of like the new Shiba. So Shiba was like the new Doge. We saw where that went, right? Literally $1,000 could have, I think I saw something like 55 million, right? Like back in August 2020. And it's funny to me because it's like, what am I seeing here? What kind of stuff is it? Like, I'm brought up in the world, okay, Bitcoin, great. And then all of a sudden I'm seeing meme coins, just like, what is this, a joke? And, and I invested in that 6 months ago because one reason, well, a couple of reasons, to make money. But the other reason was, okay, at that time I had enough money. I was like, you know what, I'm definitely going to buy into this project because I recognize that this is how you liberate people. Like, you can create a project, have all 1 billion tokens or something like that, quadrillion in that case, and then get the people in the community to build on it and to emphasize it and to recognize its importance and to share that growth opportunity, right? So you're now liberating many people, right? To help us all rise up. So yeah, why wouldn't I support that? So, but anyways, when the market started crashing, I started losing my money. I was invested in all kinds of stuff, different altcoins. And when Bitcoin starts tumbling, it's like a landslide, alts get hit really massive and hard. So if you're over leveraged, if you're invested too much, which I was, guess what's going to happen? You get blown away, So took those lessons to heart, and I started being serious about what I want to invest in and why, right? So this Kuma coin, I literally bought it for $300 a couple of days ago. And I was warned that, hey, this could be, you could either lose your 100 or, the recommendation was 100. Of course, I put in more. And then it went from like 360 to like, 200 and something. So I was like, damn. Good thing I didn't put and be greedy. But then when it drops, it's like, should I buy the dip, right? Just a little something. But this coin could be the next Shiba. It could not. So, given that the lessons I've learned from Shiba itself and what I went through, because I remember seeing it pump up and I didn't do anything about it. I kept it, and all of a sudden, the whole market came out as like a rug pull, right? If it's $300, maybe somebody doesn't mind. If it's $100, if you have it and you want to risk it, okay, great. You just never know. It's like playing the lottery sometimes with these things. I'm not a financial advisor. Let me just say that right now. I'm just a crazy ass mofo. But anyways, this is real talk, 101 crypto joint coming at you live and direct, almost at the end of the week. Happy Thanksgiving again to all the folks out there. Appreciate all the birthday wishes and the love. Keep doing it up. Kuma coin, where I see myself with that, when I was been made aware of this, and when I look at what happened with Shiba, it would have been nice if I had Shiba left, but I sold everything, and I was like, you know what, that was it. If I had to look at everything again, definitely Bitcoin Cash is one of the safe havens out there. That's not going to go away, and I recognize that now. There was a point in time where I had many Bitcoin, but it got lost because it's like it got swept away with the altcoins and stuff. So it is what it is. I can't go back in history and take it back. What I can do is take the lessons learned and say, hey, you know what? What if I help 100 people? What if I help one person? This is real talk, remember. So, you know what? I had to dig deep and do some soul searching, research, and find something that I can identify with within this market. And I said to myself, if Bitcoin is literally cracking the $1 trillion, Ethereum is cracking the $1 trillion, great. Let them folks win, right? If they win, we all win, right? What flows to Bitcoin eventually flows to Ether, right? Because the institutions recognize that. However, I recognize the fact that Bitcoin Cash is a solid blue chip crypto stock. You have to have it in your portfolio, according to my opinion, because we're battling these days in inflation. No matter what anybody tells you, your gas price is going. Look at gas price. I don't know wherever you live, gas price is going up. Groceries are going up, right? Crime is increasing. So I look at the world and I close my eyes and I look at the world and I say, hey, I wake up, it's 5 years later. What's life going to look like for everybody? Why couldn't they just buy some Bitcoin Cash like 5 years ago and say, hey, you know what, I'm going to sit on this. Buy one, right? Bitcoin Cash was one of the original forks of Bitcoin. It is like a software upgrade, right? There's a lot of contention between the two parties, between BTC party and BCH party, right? As I mentioned before in previous posts, the devs had a tiff. It's like, you do you, I'm gonna do me. And then all of a sudden they went their separate ways, In a future where everybody's becoming dependent on Bitcoin, where Bitcoin is becoming $1 million, for example, who's gonna, when it reaches that point, and even in anticipation of that, I would start looking right now. And if I was a smart institution, I would definitely look at Bitcoin Cash, right? Why wouldn't you want to have a limited supply store of value token under your asset management firm, right? One that was literally forked from Bitcoin. So as a small business owner, sure, I can see myself doing that, and that's exactly what I did, right? I don't have all the money in the world to go buy 1,000 Bitcoin. These days you can barely afford to buy 1,000 Bitcoin Cash, right? It's just not happening, right? But there's many other assets that you could buy, if you pour 10 grand into the market. So not telling you what to do. I'm just talking out loud, looking at the market, what I see. Gensler They're talking about this crypto regulation reform where they're involving 30 countries, yada, yada, yada. I'll tell you one thing before I leave. America this year has turned a page in the sense that they are now responsible for more than 50% of the hashing rate, hash mining power rate in Bitcoin. Probably even like 60%. I don't have the figures in front of me. But they're leading in terms of the adoption, in terms of Bitcoin mining. That is something that when you woke up at the beginning of 2021, wishing everybody Happy New Year, that was not the case. So much has transpired within the last few months. Machines were shut down in China, booted out of China by their own regime government, right? And said, hey, we don't want this anymore. We're communist. We're going to invent our own. Whether other nations do that or not, I'm not sure. It's to be seen. The federal mandate on cryptos, the SEC is currently still working on frameworks, still working on a lot of things pertaining to crypto. All the while, Miami Coin is flourishing. Since Miami Coin was invented and added to their books, they've profited, right? And guess what? If you do your research on the Miami Coin, the mayor of Miami literally said that Miami Coin was like a fork of Bitcoin. So it's a great blockchain. Guess what? Bitcoin Cash is one of the original forks of Bitcoin, right? So if, just giving you a little bit of a tidbit of, positive news, if a mayor of one of the most recognized cities, not only in America, but in the world, if the mayor can come out and say, our Miami Coin was designed from literally like a fork of Bitcoin, what does that tell you about the actual forks itself of blockchain? It tells you that there's nothing wrong with forking a Bitcoin or a blockchain and then customizing it and then making it your own. You're actually taking a piece of technology like software and upgrading it to 2.0, 3.0, 4.0. And then this is being recognized as your brand, right? That's exactly what happened with Bitcoin Cash 4 years ago. So while everybody's hoarding Bitcoin, I'm just going to go, hey, you know what? Why was Bitcoin Cash invented? It was invented to be faster and better than Bitcoin, and it was. It's very true in that sense. It's got a limited supply, so it's got the store of value, 21 million. The only thing, the major thing in terms of store of value is Bitcoin, because it was invented longer than Bitcoin Cash, a lot of it was lost initially, right? So Bitcoin was invented around 2008 or so. When that, towards the end of that year, when that occurred, there was a lot of Bitcoin that was lost in the first 2 years, the first 5 years, right? So Bitcoin Cash is only 4 years old, and the likelihood of 5 million Bitcoin Cash being lost is very, very low, extremely low. Because at that time, you had better technology in terms of storage, you had better awareness in terms of what really you're holding, right? Back then, Bitcoin, nobody knew what they were holding, the power of that, right? Sure, it's only 21 million, but hey, at that time, the world was just different. But it was invented in a post-2008 crisis world. So Bitcoin was literally invented during crisis. And maybe somewhere between 2008 to 2012, people had lost it, right? Didn't know how to store it properly. That technology was evolving. So now Bitcoin Cash was forked from Bitcoin, which has literally all the features and qualities that Bitcoin has, and then some. So next month, Bitcoin is going through a Taproot upgrade, and that will see it introduce some privacy options to it, as well as better scalability, and that's literally on top of the Lightning Network that's already there. So Bitcoin Cash already had these advances in technology and features and whatnot, right? So Bitcoin Cash was, you know, meant to be a true form of cash. And by that, I will pause and I will go back to the Miami story. Miami website, right? They're Miami. Anyways, my battery's dying, so